All right, so good morning. So we're talking about chapters 5, 6, and 7 today. So how did everybody do on their homework? How'd they do on their homework? Here, Cindy, here's the chair. How did they do on the homework?
I did my 5 notes.
I did my 5 plus note. Did everybody do their 5 plus note? Gunnar did 3, that's okay, that's all right.
He wasn't here for the class, but he still did.
Yeah, he wasn't here, so was it hard to find things to do the notes about? Was that the hardest part, or was it just the hard part sitting down and doing it? What was the struggle?
Sitting down and doing that part.
Yeah.
Cause it's like, and then especially once I started doing it though, it was just the who's the next one came even more easily.
Right, it's just getting there, it's swallowing the frog and doing it.
So they gotta be that on it, but hey,
Yeah,
whatever.
it doesn't have to be in depth, it's just something little. How, Chris, did you do any notes? No. Chris didn't do any notes, but that's okay. How about calls? Did anybody do 5 calls?
I did 2.
And you know, guys, on the communication pyramid, calls are above notes, right? Yeah, so,
Weren't we just talking about this?
Yeah.
so. JP says everyone needs a iPhone. Yeah,
Even if you buy me one, I still won't use it.
yeah, we all need to start like some kind of a riot about Jackie not having an iPhone.
It's so weird.
Intervention.
Intervention, yeah. So anyway, the notes, did anybody do their perfect day? Chris did their perfect day. What was it?
Yeah. So. Basically. I looked up the most important things to a balanced life and what makes a person happy.
Right,
And I looked at that and I said, okay, I want to incorporate that into my perfect day. So. Start off, and I put the specific times in here. Taking my kids to school, then coming back immediately exercising. Physical fitness.
yeah,
Soon done with that. Shower, get break dress, come to the office,
right.
and then. You start talking to me about other stuff, I stop right there.
Okay, but you got the start of your day set up. So how close are you in reality to that perfect day?
Not far off,
No, you're close.
yeah,
Okay,
pretty close, I just need to start exercising and then be more consistent going into work.
right,
Cause I usually, it's really easy to just start getting work phone calls. And so when I'm at home making those calls, and I just end up staying at home doing a lot of the work, but it's a different mindset, a different gear when you come into the office,
it is a different mindset.
yeah.
When you come into the office, I feel like that's absolutely it is. Good morning. So,
So I wanna get away from what don't feel like it's as intentional.
right. Well, you can get distracted, right? It's easy to get distracted. So, I mean, my perfect day, I pretty much make my perfect day. I do, I have to brag, but I get up early, like I get up at 4:30, 5:30, I'm up.
By choice.
But not by choice, but, well, kind of by choice. So I have a cup of tea, I meditate, then I start in on, because 3 days a week I go to the gym, 5 days a week I ride my Peloton. So I do that before I even do any work on anything, because I think it's important to get that physical part in there, working out, because if you wait for me, if I wait till the end of the day, it won't happen. I won't go to the gym. I'll find a million reasons, or I'm tired, or I have to book an appointment. But if you knock it out, because you're not calling clients at 5 o'clock in the morning. So get those things done. And then, like, I read my book. I'm studying for my loan officer test. I study that. I do compliance. Then I start responding to emails. Then I make a list of what I've got to do through my day. And I gauge everything on when my first appointment is for the day. So I know if my appointment is 11, I've got everything calendared in my phone. It's at 11, I know that I've gotta leave at 10 to get to Porterville, which means I have to start getting ready at 9. So I back into it every day. But by the time I'm up at 4:30, by 10:30, I've already been up for what, 6 hours? So I've got a lot done. So but it's important to me. But what I notice in what we read, what became really clear to me is, well, a couple of things. Number one, his business has changed.
Mhm.
Number two, his life has changed. Number three, his attitude has changed. But I think what they're trying to show us, what's so important to me is the systems.
Mhm.
He uses a lot of different systems. They bring time blocking into it, right? He time blocks so that he knows he can, and then he's doing this calling, but it's scheduled when he's gonna do it. So all these things he's doing are all run on systems, and it's very strategic what he does. So that's what stood out to me. And I was thinking about, well, what systems do we use? Like, I use time blocking. What else do you guys use? What do you use? What systems do you have? What about Sync? What about our database? What about scheduling reminders to call people through Sync?
A calendar,
A calendar, all these systems,
calendar with a reminder.
you know, and then because it almost to me starts with the time blocking. I don't think you're gonna get to the point where they want you to be unless you're time blocking.
It's like the number one key of
It
everything.
is the start, that is the domino that gets everything going. So when you start time blocking, you've got your power hour. Oh, I'm gonna block an hour out to call 3 times a week. Oh, I'm gonna write notes 2 times a week. Put it in your calendar
Mhm,
and then schedule appointments around it.
mhm.
Cause clients don't know what you're doing. They don't know. If I say, oh gosh, I'm sorry, I have an appointment tomorrow at 2. I could be getting my hair done, getting a massage, my toes, right? They don't know. And I'll say, but I'm available at 4, or I can do it the next day anytime. They don't know. But if you don't prioritize your systems and your time that you need to lead generate, you're always gonna be chasing your tail. Because you're not gonna be able to keep lead generating at the level that you want to get to that level of business. You're just not. It has to be
And
strategic.
that's what 98% of us do, is not any of this, and so. I think including myself, and it's like a reminder that. Things that you need to do to be successful are right there in front of you. The hardest part isn't those tasks, just doing them.
I found too that if I don't calendar it and then actually acknowledge my calendar, I get myself in a mess too, because what's the point in calendaring it if you're not gonna look at it?
Yeah,
Like with appointments, because I try to do like what I call Friday updates, which I'll like active files, I'll go through and I'll send out an email to everybody to kind of let them know how it's going. I hate making phone calls. I am the worst at it. So if I make myself a list, that's the first thing that I'll do, because then I feel so good when I've done it and I got it out of the way.
Mhm.
Me, the talker, hates talking.
It's very weird. Very young.
My biggest mistake when it comes to calendaring, and I still struggle with, I gotta find a way to break that habit, is I try to pre-schedule items that I have a habit of ignoring when stuff comes up. Then I don't do it, so I already developed the bad habit of ignoring it because Sarah needed something, someone needed something, and I didn't get back to it. And then until it starts to suffer, then it's like when, oh, okay, I gotta really put it in. And so I need to, one, reevaluate my time blocking on the daily. And so I was thinking, like how you said you do the checklist more often than not, and I do my checklist, but I don't do it consistently. And then I have a habit of ignoring my time blocking because I made a habit of switching back and forth.
right, instead of sticking to your time blocking.
So this goes back to Atomic Habits too,
Yeah, it does.
of looking at the things. I'm like halfway between you two.
Mhm.
Like I calendar everything, I'm really good at calendaring everything, but I'm also really good at not following like 70% of the shit on my calendar.
Mhm.
And I ignore the stuff, but I at least look at it all the time. And I do calendar everything, and then I do look to see the special ones that are on for the day, like I ignore everything else that I have on there for the whole day except for the things like appointments, that's it. And I need to like transition into fully taking everything from my calendar from the morning to end seriously, not ignoring 90% of it, and but yeah.
Cause it gives you a sense of freedom. I feel so free. I know what I have to do the next day. I know how my day's gotta go. I know how to prioritize what needs to get slipped in between. And it's free. And I guarantee you, it seems like, oh, I don't wanna be controlled by the calendar. But you're not control, it gives
You're
you
more
freedom.
freedom.
It gives you freedom because you're organized and you're not scrambling. Oh, God, I forgot. And double booking. And you see in this book, he double books, right, with Michelle. And then she gets mad at him and he doesn't like it.
Things that get engaged with someone else
She
over it.
engaged somebody, yeah, I engaged somebody else and see one faux pas, time blocking and his whole life is moving, right? You know, he doesn't get the girl he wants, but it's,
I'm hoping he still gets her in there.
yeah, we hope. Yeah, don't,
The
no,
hope
look
was-
at Jackie.
The hopeless
Jackie.
woman, don't look at her.
Jackie wants to.
I just want Alan and Michelle to crash and burn, is that bad?
Okay, Noah and Ally.
Yeah, so what else stood out to you guys in these chapters? Anything?
Disc.
Oh, yeah, the disc.
The disc, there's another system they're using, right? The
Yeah,
disc.
the discovery.
Yeah, it's, you're supposed to treat people the way they want to be treated, even if it's not what you would want yourself. Sell the way the buyer buys. So, and that is understanding disc.
And then I like that little gray box.
I do too.
Oh, yeah, care like everyone's an S, smile like everyone's an I, prepare like everyone's a C, sell like everyone's a D. And he does say too, the bigger the purchase, the more attention to details. But it almost should be that way across the board, not just, in my opinion, not the big purchases, every purchase.
Every purchase, because even the scenario of, I think that was chapter 7, where he loses a client because he didn't go over the contract with them. He just emailed it to them.
Right,
And it's like, the little details matter.
right.
I feel like we should review what the discs ones are constantly until we like internalized it. Like I've seen it a bunch of times, but I couldn't like spout off exactly which one it is, but if you could
Identify.
internalize it and make it part of your
We'll
greater
print,
understanding.
we'll print off the disc so that the last meeting, we all have it. And we can go over it, like, of course, the D is direct, but we've got that, so.
Yeah, we have them right there with Brittany at the very bottom of her stack of papers, under the laptop.
Do you have them, Brittany?
Bottom of the stack.
Discovery,
Page 75.
thank you. The square?
Your book might be different, I don't know, is hers the same as yours, Cindy?
What book is it in yours?
should be.
What in yours?
Mine's 75, so yours would be 73.
Mine's 77.
Okay, you're 2 ahead, not 2 behind.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, wow, she felt better.
There's all the disc. So if you guys did the disc assessment, you know what your personality is. I know
This is taking like the match and mirror to a greater depth.
exactly,
Mhm.
it's like match and mirror
The
2.0,
personality.
exactly. So that you understand how you are, how you communicate. I know how I am when when they're going, like buying a car. And they wanna go over all those, I'm like, no, I just wanna know the bottom line. I don't want to know all those little details about stuff. I hate that. Like, just get to the point. I don't care about how we got there. I just wanna get to the point. So I know I'm a D and I have to be careful when I'm dealing with people who are not a D. Because the ones that want all the details, cause I'll be just, oh yeah, we're just gonna cross right over that. Oh yeah, we're just gonna, yeah, okay, yeah, and it's that, right? Because, so we've gotta be careful and mindful about dealing with them the way. But I can sense it with my clients. I know who's gonna wanna go over every single line and who just wants to, smile and hold hand. I'll tell you something funny. So this is a funny story. So before I was selling real estate, my mom and dad were selling their house and buying another one. And it was an agent in town, and she's an awesome agent. But I wouldn't say she's the most technically, she's not real technically, and not experienced, but, you know, she just kind of floats around by the seat of her pants. So my mom and dad sell their house, they buy this house, and she went back and forth to their house probably 10 times, like with info, oh yeah, I did this. And I said to my dad, how did it go with, and he goes, great, he goes, I don't really think she knows what she's doing, but we just love her.
Oh,
Because she would go over and she would talk to them, like, you know, because they're older. She'd be like, oh, talk about furniture and food and family. Never real estate except for what she was getting them to sign, but they absolutely thought she was the best and it was the best experience they had with her. So you see, but that's how my mom and dad connected, right? They wanted to, they're probably
relationship.
the relationship, they're probably maybe a little bit hot, my dad, you know, my dad likes to talk, he's probably an eye. He wants to hear about all the stuff, and so, and that's how she dealt with them, but that was her personality too. So, but it was funny. Anybody else know what their disc is? We got the assessments, does anybody know what they were?
I'm an IS and IB and C are similar.
What was I, Jackie? The D,
You didn't redo yours, but you're an ID or DM.
no, I didn't do it,
Did you
She's
indicate
an
it before?
ID.
You didn't give it to me.
I think she sent it to me, I'm a DI,
Oh, DI or ID?
DI, strong D, followed up by an I.
I was like, it's always hard to get a real read on her because she gets bored with it and stops really putting.
When I just, if it's my personality, they should know this. As I'm going through, by the start, I'm like, oh yeah, this is good, and by the end of it, I'm like, oh, I'm over it, whatever. Yeah, whatever, I'm over it, I gotta do something else, this is too much.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's why.
So that's when she would come off as an SC or IS. I was like, you are not no SC. No way.
Oh, that's fine.
When Greg Curry, when I first encountered Greg and I looked at him before, I was like, you're not an FC. So like, no way. He's should have been DI.
So the systems that we know so far that we use to implement this are calendaring and disc, what else?
The other thing that he goes into is, in the sense of a column, is his follow-up.
Yeah.
And then he has his power, like his initial 10 that he has to do every morning.
So he does the initial 10 every single morning.
And then he has his hour set aside for like his follow-up of emails, like preset hours of when he's doing his callback.
And did you notice that what he's asked, where he's leading from is how can I help you? What can I do for you? And when they come up with that way to help, he gets that action item done immediately. He does not procrastinate. I think he says he tried to do it the same day, right? Because what happens? You procrastinate, we forget, oh, I'll do it the next day, I'll do it the next day. So.
You do it right after the call.
Mhm.
Well, what I really like on this chapter 5 is the segment of is it good to hear from you? This was the part that I felt was one of the biggest aha that I want, like I feel every new agent needs to hear, because when we first start going into the concept of calling people and we feel like, oh, I don't wanna call them because I don't wanna bother them. And I like when the coach asked him on 0 to 10, how happy were the people to hear from him? And it's like, on average, he's like 0s if they didn't even answer you. And anywhere between, other than that, it's they wanted to hear from him. But he's also having him call them from a sense of, what can I give to you? How can I help you? He's not coming from, wanna buy a house. He's straight up calling to check in and see where his services are needed. What services can he help?
It's even like the first call for real estate agents,
Mhm.
and I'm doing it now, like I have somebody that I realized they weren't in my database, but I know them, but I called, or one I sent a text and just said, hey, I'm updating my database, what email are you using right now?
Mhm.
They sent it back, but how easy is a call? Hey, this is Sarah, I just got my license. Yeah, I'm so excited, I'm updating my database. I'd like to send you some things occasionally, can I get your email? Again, you're not asking them for anything, well, the email address, but you're gonna send them something. I'd like to send you some information about the market once in a while. Yeah, why not?
Everybody wants to know what their home might be worth.
Exactly.
And, are we trying to go in line here, or
No, we're just jumping off.
So that, I also liked, it was nice that he was saying that, the only information that you give through email, you don't try to sell or really advertise or do any of that over email. And, those all are, emails should all be coming from contribution and leading to a phone call,
Right?
Or an action item.
in that direction,
Mhm.
which I thought is
Because
really cool.
because I think too many of us try to, we fall back on an email when a phone call would be a
Yeah, that's
lot
the
more.
easy, lazy way of.
Right, it would be a lot more powerful,
Yeah.
right, the phone call.
I think nowadays too, a lot of us have, a lot of the millennials have shifted to texting versus the call.
Yep,
And you gotta know when and where, and I think that's a similar case with the email, like, some things, yeah, it's easy to do as a text, but not everything should be a text.
well, you don't get the emotion with the text, there's no emotion when you're texting people.
You apply the emotion yourself, and so you could apply
Right,
the
it could
wrong
be
one.
applied emotion that could be absolutely incorrect when you're
Mhm.
texting somebody.
That's why I was called.
Yes. And then they can
They
hear
don't
the
under-
excitement in your
Yeah,
voice,
they
and the
get more
warmth.
excited, they get.
right,
Oh my gosh, actually, I did wanna hear from you, actually, I do have this question, and I always call from a place of caring, how can I help, and what can we do, and even if it's just a real estate plan, even if it's
Right.
just seeing the value, even if it's just to check on them, you really just were on my heart, if I think of one of my past clients and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just pick up the phone and call them,
it's a care
I
call,
just call
but
them,
why don't you schedule those?
I don't know,
So you're doing,
I don't know,
so you can do it
I
consistently.
know, I need to just schedule it.
Go through your database and just start calling 2 a day, a care call, how's it going, I was just thinking about you. They don't need to know that you were in sync and they're next up on the line, they don't need to know that, it's just like, oh, everybody likes to be thought about.
Mhm.
What do you guys think about, cause there's a lender that I'm involved with in a transaction, he does video
Oh, Mike Gary or Gary.
emails.
Great.
Yeah, what do you guys think about that? The video email, so
I-
instead of calling me with an update,
Mhm.
which I probably wouldn't take a phone call anyway.
Mhm.
Or sending me a text, or just a regular email, he records what's going on in the transaction in an email, in a video, and then he emails it to me.
And it's personalized.
No, it's
Yeah,
not generic, it's about the transaction I need.
Yeah,
It's
I
an
like
update.
wanted to give you an update, if I'm doing my job right, you'll get one every Tuesday, this is what the transaction on 192 looks like as of right now. And
Exactly.
it just goes into detail and it's less than 30 seconds, and then I'm like, oh, I don't have to bother him,
Do you like it?
I do,
Yeah,
I do.
I'm almost like,
I'm
because,
on the fence, at
I'm on
first
the-
I was like,
well, this is the problem. I didn't realize at the start, I was like, what is
I was
this?
ignoring, and he was reaching out to me, are you getting my email
Yeah.
confirming, and I was like, oh,
I
this
thought it
is
was
an update.
marketing, like.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
So
Sometimes I think it is marketing that he does.
He does like 5 emails a day, I'm like,
Well, it's probably easier for him to video
Mhm.
than to type an email,
Mhm.
yeah.
and he sends it. So, yeah, I mean, that is good. I think when we're calling our clients, a phone call is better than that.
What I don't like about the video, like for me, in the sense is like, once again, if I'm in the middle of double dipping and after like I'm helping someone, but I'm like multitasking. I'd rather read the email than I can't play the audio while I'm still overshadowing something else,
I had an escrow officer complain about the same exact thing. She can't play the audio and still tend to, like, she'll just
Mhm.
read a quick email, but then she's also doing multiple other things, so she can't just stop what she's doing and watch
Yeah.
17
Right.
seconds.
And I think prior to current technology, when he initially started doing them, I think oftentimes you didn't have the ability of like. iPhone would play it, but Samsung wouldn't. Samsung could play it, but iPhone couldn't. You would have like, or like, oh, you tried playing it from your phone, but oh, you gotta download this extra app in order for it to play it. It would always end up some issues, so I initially started a habit early on of ignoring it. Because when it first rolled out, it wasn't so easy.
Right.
So what do you guys think about as far as time management? Like the time that it takes to do
Oh,
it?
I think it's faster to video,
So
do a
like,
video.
Once you
I
get
don't-
habit, it's
I don't
like,
think he's doing it from his cell phone. I think he's actually got,
On his computer.
No, he does it from his car. I've gotten him where he's.
Oh, I've got, oh,
Because
okay,
the
I've,
thing he does is he
I've
does
gotten
the
them from
video
his,
and then
sitting at his
has-
desk.
No,
someone else do the uploading.
I think he just gets his phone. Well,
Mine comes through YouTube.
oh, that's weird.
Yeah, mine's not just a video of like, cause I mean, I get that part, cause you just turn the camera and you're like, hey guys, just wanna send you an update. I'm driving, this is what I'm doing, but the ones that I've gotten from him are YouTube cameras set up at a desk.
But you can do that from your laptop. You
It's
just,
probably the webcam.
he just probably turned his webcam on
Okay.
and.
And he already has his system down, that's easy. To me, it's like, too many extra steps.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, it works for him. I don't know if it works for his client, but it works for him.
Mhm.
Did you see, what I also like is the way he's constantly like coaching him about the calls need to come from a place of helping. The way to get people to look forward to your call is to help them. Get away from thinking about how a person can help you grow your business. That's not what they want the conversation to be. It's about
Right.
helping,
Yeah.
not asking how to.
I'm a firm believer in that.
The person who talks the most dominates the conversation, but the person who asks the questions controls the conversation.
Mhm.
For someone to buy with you, he has to trust you. I mean, there's so many nuggets in this book about, coming from a place of contribution, and again, that's what the whole book is about.
The one, that other big aha one was a triangle of trust.
Yeah,
Cause of the fact of having your person refer you, ask them, do you have a CPA that you would give? And if by the time you ask so many people, a lot of people have said, no, I don't have a CPA. So then, but the ones that did give you a CPA, you meet with that CPA and you have these other referrals of these people that said, I don't have one, but if you find a good one, let me know. So then you're giving this CPA already these other leads.
It is
Yeah.
absolutely fascinating how he's taking people and expanding the network, his referral network
uh-huh,
on a level, because how many times do we have people that come in, or even just people generally speaking, that like get their real estate license and like, oh, I don't have a big, SOI, I don't know that many people, or younger people that don't really actually know. He outlines these, like, all these different creative ways that are super effective, which absolutely grow that into a juggernaut
Mhm.
of
Yeah.
a referral system.
and the way it's like 150 is this many people, and then it's however many thousand people, because the people they know, it's mind boggling. You don't have to have a huge database to make this work. And
you can
start
grow it.
growing it.
Super fast, instead of asking for a referral, being introduced to somebody and like meeting somebody, like that's gonna make that person 10 times more receptive to even take your call. So you're gonna get so many more, like on a daily basis, like I've seen him, the way he's putting this together, and they're setting up the referral network and that whole thing, and the way that they're going about it is incredible.
I know. Is there anybody online that wants to say anything? Cause we've been dominating the conversation here and not letting anybody speak. What stood out to you guys?
Well, I'm a little behind. I was reading
Connie.
another book.
Oh, wait,
but-
audio.
Hang on, Connie.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Turn it up.
Okay.
He got this.
Hey, Connie, speak.
Okay, I'm a
Okay.
little behind. I had another book I had to read for Leadership Academy, but holy smokes, I was telling Sarah yesterday, what a brilliant book. What it was simplicity, and she just touched on the base of, a database of 150 people, and those 150 people have marriages, and there's 30 marriages or weddings that they attend, and it expands. It doesn't have to be tough. You just have to implement and do it. I just love the simplicity of the book. It really kind of kicked me hard, because I'm just have some bad habits, and I'm super excited about how he has just made this an easier process and more black and white, and in the relationships, it all goes back to that, especially now in this in what we're facing with the buyers and the sellers and the conversations. So it gets real, and yeah, pick up the phone. We have to stop texting. We got to pick up that phone and have relationships. And the simple stuff, the 5 cards or whatever you can do a day. So I'm loving it, and I'm old school, but I'm still trainable. So thank you, whoever brought this, Sarah or Jacqueline. It's fabulous. I'm really enjoying it. Much better than the one I'm reading by John Maxwell. So super awesome.
That's good. And what Connie said is so true. What we're facing, the relationships with buyer and sellers, we've got to have a good bond with those people now. We have to. So it's.
So it's
even
not the masses, it's not the masses anymore. He talks about the billboards and the, I'm awesome. I closed 100 deals and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. It's just that one-on-one touch that is becoming so back to the basics in business. And I do love that. Do love that.
And didn't you love it, Connie, that Rick is doing the work, and then when the secretary tells him you're on pace to match Dawn,
Yeah.
and he goes, what, really? Like, he didn't focus on the results, he focused
Yeah.
on the work. And that's
Yes.
what I always say to agents, don't focus on the escrows.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do to get those escrows? It's
The
the
day
work.
to day, what are you doing day to day to keep
That's
you
where you
on track, and
just-
you'll be on track before you even know it, because you're not so focused on, you're just focused on taking care of your clients and having relationships. And I think that's a brilliant, easy, simple way to do business these days, for sure.
I agree.
And so last week, someone had asked, I think it was Chris, that what was the purpose of the success stories? And so in this week's chapter, it went over how you use them on the success stories, in the sense of sending them out via email and a postcard. So you create 12 stories of like how you were successful, like the hero to your client. And on one week, you send out the story 1 via email, while you send out story 12 via postcard. And then the next month you do story 2 via email, and postcard you do 11. So then by the time you're crossing over, when you're doing the email of 12, their postcard of 1 is going out. So if people are being told twice in 1 month how you're a superhero in real estate. Well, then you can use it on blogs and other things too.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
The thing I liked about the triangle address was people will respect positive feedback about you way more coming from somebody else than coming from yourself.
Yep. Yep. I got a call yesterday from somebody who wanted help with a very mixed up situation, but a trust that went bad, and they weren't making the mortgage payment. Anyway, long story short, he wanted me to do something. I'm like, you don't need me. The deal's already made. He's buying it. I didn't need to be involved. He's buying it from the trust, but he needed escrow, so I referred him to Cindy. So I called Cindy. He's gonna be calling you, and I told him, hey, call Cindy. Well, he calls me back again this morning. Now he's looking for a local lender. I referred him to Wes, so I send Wes a text, hey, he's gonna be calling you, please take his call. Send him the number. That is like trying, those referrals to people. That's why you need to have an arsenal of people that you can refer to. Because, and then you hope in turn they're,
I just had it happen with my nurse friend, who referred her a ton of, Vanessa, referred her a ton of people, she just referred me, and the first time home buyer to have an appointment set.
yeah. So when you're reaching out to people with calls and notes, maybe vendors should be on that list
That
as
was my
well.
list this time.
Absolutely.
But Jack,
That was mine this time. I just wanted to give a shout out to my vendors that have been helping me with my
yeah,
efforts.
Jackie did a shout out to vendors and did a touch with them.
Mhm.
Okay,
I think it's important.
I do too. Anything else, Jackie, that you think is good, important?
I love how chapter 8 ended. Don reached out to him. Don reached out to him at the very end, basically.
We're not
sharing
on
a-
eight.
Chapter 8, we went up to 8, right? 5
Oh,
to
I
8?
thought we stopped at
We
8.
stopped at eight.
Oh, stop that. 8.
Oh,
Jackie.
Spoiler, spoiler, Jackie.
Actually, because Chris and I touched on 8. We're talking about the email, the one that lost the contract via email.
That's 7.
That's 7? I thought that was 8. Whoops.
Do you guys read the
Spoiler.
little quotes on before each chapter? I love
Spoiler?
How chapter 8?
Rhaegar dies.
Poor
Rhaegar dies.
You.
Jackie loves this book, so I'm hard on, I tease Jackie to death, but she does love this book. She gets very excited. She likes to tell the end, and then she likes to get ahead of us. I think you've already read the whole book, haven't you?
part of what we were supposed to read.
I didn't think it was, I thought it was 5, 6, 7.
It's 5 through 8, and then next week is 9 through 10.
Oh, I'm off, okay, I didn't read 8, okay, my bad.
So I was saying, yeah, what was there?
Okay, it's all me, I'm wrong, I didn't follow the rules.
So we just gave you a tidbit of what
So
you
tell
missed.
me what it is.
Chapter 8 was the emails one, so that's what Chris and I had touched on.
Okay,
Was-
talk about it so I understand it.
So in chapter 8, he loses a client. The client emails them to tell him basically they decided to not proceed and they want their how to get their money back. And so it happens right before his coaching call, and the coaching call is to talk about technology in today. And so that's where they go over how an email is only for giving out information and to call to action, have them do something, i.e. call you back. And the whole purpose of an email, the magical email itself is just to use the Are You the Chosen One script, which the chosen one script is if you had someone that was looking to buy or sell, who would you recommend, or would you recommend me? And so it kind of creates am I their go-to? So if you're not their go-to, get rid of them. They don't need to be on your list of who you're calling. If their go-to is gonna be Sarah Carolina, I'm not gonna love on them as much, cause I can't compete with
Oh,
Sarah.
so they're saying rate them.
Uh-huh. Rate your
Yeah,
people.
reading everybody in your SOI and
Mhm.
actually
I
reading
think
out,
that
and
was
getting
chapter
rid of them.
7. I read that,
Okay.
yeah.
And so then it falls into the magic email to also help gut it out even more via email. So it kind of builds on it.
If they're rated a D, delete.
D is delete,
Mhm.
yeah, sorry, Jackie. Sorry, guys, I was wrong.
And then how to get people's emails too, he does touch on that. So like getting
Oh,
them
how
the
do you
mailers.
get, what does he say?
So he recommends sending out like the postcard mailers to tell them to, like, kind of, in a sense, what nowadays would be use the QR code to sign up for a raffle or something, but you have to do something that they'd actually want an opportunity to win.
Well, and it was an email, it was an
But to get the email of the people you don't have. That was the recommendation.
But you don't think a call to somebody and just say, I'm updating my database, can I get your email is easier than doing a raffle?
Possibly,
I
but
think
if
it's
you,
a-
at that
it's
point that you haven't
about
gotten
people where
enough,
you can't do that.
if you haven't gotten enough people already that way, it's an additional.
Right, but to go into your database, they need to be people that know us by name, not just random people.
Mhm.
You should.
Well, no, this is part of the process of getting your database updated to that.
Mhm.
Right,
So some of these people are gonna be in here that you haven't talked to in a long time, or it might be an awkward conversation that you just had in the blue, or something like that. It's obviously if you know somebody well enough and you can just call them up and get their email and do that, but.
You'll get a 50% return when you submit a text asking for them, but like you start getting more when they're like enticed. Like certain people, you just won't get them with, yeah, I'll send you my email.
You gotta think, if there's like 100 people and you send out a thing for a raffle. And you get 20 of them to respond, I mean, that's 20 emails.
Yeah, but then you gotta pay for that, and then you just better off calling and asking for it.
Well, why don't you call the office?
we don't like that idea by my.
Well, when I send the postcards out, I've never had any scam, especially from my SOI. Like the little QR.
I had one
You just
person
have a
spam.
raffle.
Yeah, like.
Yeah, you didn't have a raffle.
Call me if you wanna sell, no, scam it.
Yeah. And again, it goes to the communication pyramid, right? Like, you know, that being the postcards that we do are really just for branding.
Mhm.
They're not necessarily, I've gotten calls over the years from postcards, but not consistently. And then we also, and then emails being keep going. So why aren't we putting our energy into the things that are the most important, which are free, which is phone calls, notes, well, that takes a stamp. So that one's technically not free,
Less expensive.
less expensive, and one-on-one meetings, and you might have to buy them a cup of coffee.
Still works.
It works, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, right, when you're paying, they're working.
So instead of spending, so if we're calendaring and we only have so much time and we're spending, you know, obviously social media is important, right? It's important, but is it as important as making, shouldn't we work our way down the pyramid?
Yeah.
The social media being maybe, you know.
That's just your catch-all.
it's the
Well, that was the
catch-all.
other thing too, to get emails was doing that social media post also to, it's like a free billboard.
Or a
You're gonna
postcard.
spend a lot of money on a billboard. And if you do the right type of post, it's like a free billboard, but
It's free.
the way that he's telling you to do it, though, Bill.
Because I do even get caught up in that, like, oh, I'll be, oh, I haven't done a post for social media, I better do a post. Where really, it would be way more important if I would pick up the phone and call a past client. That would have more impact than a post, but we get skewed, like, oh, I gotta do the post. I mean, it is important to do the post, if you can do all of it, but if something's gotta give, right? If you only had time to either do one post or a phone call, you absolutely should be doing the phone call or the note. That should take priority every single time. But if you can do both, that's in a perfect world, right?
Are you using your Google Calendar to track past sales? How do you remember, like, it's their 1 year anniversary?
I put it in sync, that's what we have sync for.
Oh, okay. And there.
Yeah, and put their anniversary, you can put their birthday, you can, and then send yourself a reminder. This is what I do, Sharice, for birthdays for my clients, I don't rely on sync, because I like to do them for the month. So I put them in reminder on my phone, I have January birthdays, whole list of them. And then I go through and do all my notes, and I write the date of their birthday, where the stamp goes, and then about 5 days before, I send out their birthday note. That I have, but I do it for the month.
Mail birthday cards?
When you.
Yeah.
For a blind copy, is that what the BCC
Never
is on?
Most people don't.
Yeah, I've never done it.
So when you BCC somebody, the people that you're sending an email to, they don't actually.
They can't see it.
I didn't know that the whole time.
Blank
Yeah.
copy.
So like right now, like when, so our weekly trainings, I don't pay for an email software system to email all the agents. I send out
Blank copy.
a blind carbon copy to 100 people at a time, inviting them to our weekly training.
I get a blank copy all the time from you.
So at least it's whatever way works for you, okay, like. You know, you could put it as an appointment in your phone, but the problem is. For me, sending out a card, I wouldn't really realize it until the day of, and I wanna know, that's why I put it in sync, so I have it in there. And then I also put it as the reminder in my phone, so it pops up for the month.
But the cross-selling is with the BCC, blind copying, so. You are emailing somebody something, it's a referral. It's a blind copy them and they reach out to that person, they blind copy you and then. They're saying that's 10 times more powerful than just trying to talk yourself up. That's awesome.
So what,
Cross-selling.
cross-selling, so what should we do for homework?
5 more note cards.
I think 5 phone calls,
Priority.
because some of us did the notes, but hardly anyone did the calls. Let's do 5 calls. 5 calls, and then 5 notes, 5 calls first, 5 notes second. Anything else that we need to think, Jackie, to make as a homework? And maybe whatever systems you are currently using in your business and what systems you would like to incorporate. So there's our 3 things.
Okay.
5 calls, 5 notes, what systems you are currently using and what systems you need to incorporate.
And by when you're going to incorporate it?
Yeah, and when you're gonna do it. And so it's the last week, next week, chapter 9, not 8. I will be doing 8, 9, 10, 11, whatever it is, 12, but it's 9, 10, 11, 12. Any final thoughts? Anything final anybody else wants to say? No? Krista?
Can you send out an email of what our homework is?
Yep, we'll send out an email.
Brittany,
Anybody else online, anything you guys want to say?
JP's trying to sell the land.
I'm good. Excited.
Okay, all right, guys, thanks so much, we'll see you next week to wrap this whole thing up. And you missed cheesecake today. I did bake a chocolate vanilla swirl cheesecake, salted caramel topping.
We get caught.
Gunnar might be able to send you a piece.
Did you see me go?
Best cheesecake I've ever
Great
had.
job.
I said it's the best cheesecake you ever had, but.
Love cheesecake. All right,
All right,
bye,
guys.
everybody.
Nice, Jackie.